Okay, good afternoon. Thank you for being here at our November 7th City Council meeting. I do want to thank you guys for being here. We're going to go ahead and jump right into this. We'll start with roll call, please, Ms. Diane.
Councilmember Jackson.
Here.
Councilmember Silva.
Present.
Councilmember Garcia.
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Vegas Walker.
Here.
And Mayor Cardenas.
Present. And then we're going to go ahead and do our Pledge of Allegiance. That's going to be led by Norma from our City Clerk's office. And then if you can remain standing for the invocation by Mayor Pro Tem Vegas Walker.
Ready, begin.
Pledge allegiance of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If you could please remain standing and bow your heads. Heavenly Father, as we come upon this advent of the season of Thanksgiving, we come with very heavy hearts, thinking about those who have suffered so greatly in Texas. We pray that you'll outpour your loving mercy upon them. Please help us with an understanding of why these things happen. Pray that this evening that we will do all that is good, all that is right, and all that is just for the community that we serve. Help us to be ever mindful of the blessings that you bestow upon us. Things we pray in thy precious name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. And then as soon as our attorney's ready, I'll ask for a report out from closed session.
Mr. Mayor, there's no items to report out. However, the council does need to return to closed session to address 2 items.
Thank you. And moving down to presentations and announcements, and I did have this on the agenda, but I'm going to go ahead and push this out. We had some scheduling issues, so I'm going to go ahead and push item 1 out to a future date. But I do want to thank staff and council for their support on this effort. So then I'm going to go ahead and jump down to scheduled public comments. Did receive a call from Jeff Sturdivant earlier today, and he will not be present. So we're going to jump right into our IT presentation. So Mr. Chris, or no, Miss Brownlee. So we have an IT presentation on behalf of our staff here.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. A few months ago, a request was made, I think by Ms. Walker, to have IT do a presentation. So Chris T-Walt, our computer specialist, who is also filling in for the IT administrator at this time, has put together a presentation for you. So I'd like to hand it over to him.
Chris.
I was afraid I was going to need some IT help on this.
Where's the help desk when you need them?
Yeah, anybody in the house know? All right, good evening. Thank you for giving us this opportunity to speak on behalf of the IT department. And the batteries are working now, thank you. In our network, we maintain several different locations. We do take care of the fire, safety, as well as public works, finance department, library, water treatment plant, parks department, recreation department, and so on and so on. We have various locations, and at each of these locations we have servers, we have switches, we have obviously computers. We do maintain 42 servers, both physical servers and virtual servers. We maintain 228 computers, which do include the laptops. And we do service and maintain the 220 users roughly on a daily basis. This includes our core hardware devices, and that our core does reside at Fire Station number 1. And this is where our backbone fiber comes in, and this is the main hub for all of the city internet and the connectivity. Now to go on to some of the projects that we have been up to, and this is mainly just more recent stuff, with exception of this one. In July of 2016, we did the cut to live for the Munis software. Starting in January of 2016, we began conversations with the Munis company to upgrade our software from a version 9 to a version 11.1. And in doing so, we upgraded 4 servers. We installed 4 new servers with the latest operating system. And in order to maintain the speed needed for these servers, we had to also upgrade our 3 Cisco switches. And these switches do take the internet and our network to all the different computers in City Hall and all of the other locations as well. So
Chris,
this,
can I ask a couple of questions on this slide?
absolutely.
So is the version 11, is that that's the most recent?
Right now, the most recent is 11.3,
Okay. And we're at what?
11.1.
Okay. Is there a thought to transition from 11.1 to 11.3?
Yes, there is. During the conversations that I've been going around with Terry and with Ms. Salcido as well, that I haven't had a chance to really talk to her about what it's going to take. But that is a conversation that I need to have with her before we try to make any kind of decision on that. So our desire is to always stay ahead of the game, always. We don't want to do like we did this last time and go from a version 9 to a version 11, because that
Right.
does put us behind
That's-
pretty bad.
Right. Does our contract allow for the software updates or upgrades to be at no cost to us, or is there a cost
There's an
involved?
implementation cost,
Okay.
and I don't have all those numbers or answers for that, but from 11.1 to 11.3 would be an implementation cost similar to the HR module that we spoke of earlier today.
Okay. And then, I guess this is just a general question, and maybe for you and Ms. Salcido and others. So overall, our satisfaction with the Munis system has been good? We like it? Good system?
Yep.
Excellent, okay.
And they're very good with their support. We call, yep. Finance department is also very good when there's a problem, unless we have to get on the server or give them admin access to the servers. The finance department and all the users are very good about calling, and Munis is very good with maintenance.
And where are they based?
Out of Texas,
Texas?
but their support is on East Coast time, so I don't know exactly where their support, but their main hub is out of Texas. But
We-
they always have people available till, I believe it's 6 p.m. our time.
Okay, good. So they have expanded
Absolutely.
or
Yep.
extended support hours, okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
And this process did take roughly 6 months from start to finish, and it was, I believe, July 26th that we did a cut to live. And because of the preparation and working with the finance department and Munis hand in hand, this upgrade went very smooth. And I would anticipate going to 11.3 would be just as smooth. Another one of our projects, earlier this year for budget, we were approved for a new agency core firewall, as well as 2 DNS servers. And as soon as July 1st rolled around, because of safety purposes and the aging equipment, we went on ahead and ordered and replaced these already. So this is already in place and running and operational and protecting us. In April of this year, one of the things that I really wanted to do was to develop a help desk. Before, we utilized emails, send it to IT support, and we'll schedule it. Some of the issues with that is that sometimes you don't get a response back, and then the frustration is that IT didn't get my request. Well, part of this was to ensure that as soon as the request is put in, that there was an automated message sent back, not only to the person that put in the request, but also to me and to the other administrator, that we are able to then accept the ticket and assign it out. Users are able to log in and create a ticket. It sends automatic responses, and it tracks the work request. So if I do something, I add what I did to it, and it not only updates it on my portal, but it also sends a response to the user. This is what I have found. This also doubles as our hardware tracking software. So I have hardware that I track all of our servers, all of our computers, and it tracks their warranties, it tracks just about anything you want it to track on the hardware itself.
But we actually finally have all the serial numbers in one place? and
Yeah, earlier
all
this
that?
year, actually, before we even did this, I went through the full city and I physically visited every site, and I did pick up all the serial numbers, and I keep it in a spreadsheet, and it's updated. So as computers are replaced and we recycle them, I make sure that I don't just remove those from my list, but they go to the recycled. So since the beginning of this year, I've created a very detailed list of all of our stuff, and I keep track of that.
Chris, are copy machines, fax machines, are those under your umbrella or no?
No, copiers, fax machines, printers,
Yeah.
those are really left up to the departments. We will install them and do some configurations, with the exceptions of the Canon copiers, and those we have a maintenance contract with the company, Digital, I believe is the name of the company. And they do all of that. They maintain everything for that. We still do the installation, and if they have problems with the printing, we'll come and look at it. But if it's something major, we don't keep track of that.
Thank you.
And I thought I would include a picture of what our portal looks like. I included different information on there, my office number, my cell phone number, my work cell phone number, that is. Different information that is important, how to order from Dell, our website, just little, and then, I don't know if you can see it, but there's a, try these 7 things before calling IT. You laugh, but
Make sure it's turned on.
Yeah, turn the machine on.
Cookies.
you might think I'm joking and you're being funny, but you know how many times I've showed up and something's been unplugged after I've asked 3 times if it's plugged in? So this is something that I try to push. If you can check it out first yourself, then let's do that. If it's plugged in, great. Then I have at least something to go on. But anyway, that's what I include on the portal.
That's hilarious.
And it's available too. And that's just internal, that we can't get it to it from the outside, is for protection and, for us. Also in April, it seems April was a big month for us. Microsoft contacted us, and they requested a self-audit on all of our licensing. Now, licensing changes from month to month, year to year, and we were not in total compliance. And once we went through the audit, and it took 2 months, we began the audit April 4th, and we completed it on June 26th with the completion of the purchase order and everything. But we were able to become compliant, relatively painless. But that's one of the things going forward that my anticipation is to stay on top of licensing, so that we don't have to go through this again. Again, another one of our projects is Public Works had some very old Cisco switches in their environment, and we were able to replace those. There's 3 of them. We replaced all 3 of them. They were also in need of a server to run their AutoCAD, and their AutoCAD program is a very important program for the engineers, and they had purchased a 3-seat license, and we were able to purchase a server and install that on that server so that it was able to be accessed from whomever needed it at that time. Our phones have been getting addressed. The HR department in the city manager's office has had a phone system for some time now, but it was aging and having problems. And we went on ahead and we replaced that. And then in talks with Ms. Salcido and this same company, I requested a quotation to replace the phones in City Hall. And we got a very good number, and we are moving forward with that right now. In fact, today I sent out an email to AT&T to finalize some of the number transitioning that needs to happen.
So Chris, are we going to be able to, I think some of the shortfalls with our former phone system is it didn't allow you to get to another extension. It was not very user-friendly in terms of getting you finally to a live person. If I ever need to talk to anybody, I always call the city clerk's office because they always answer the phone. Good job. Is this going to be a vast
To my knowledge,
improvement, I
we've
hope?
never had an auto attendant. This would be the first time in the city manager's HR department that we have had one. This is going to be a preference, and I have yet to talk with the different departments and Ms. Salcido to determine what our desires are. Certain departments will not have an auto attendant. Certain departments, like possibly the water utility division, may just ring straight through. I don't know. That's going to be a preference that I won't have a say in. But our phone systems will be much better than they were before.
I think I mean, phone is such a portal into everything that we do. I think that
Yes, it
this
is.
is really one of our opportunities for huge customer service improvements is through
That's
our
right.
phone system.
Communication, whether it is phone or email or anything else, it's very important. I know I mentioned it earlier, but we do service the El Centro Police Department with all of their IT needs. And I just wanted to briefly touch on just a few things that we have done over there. They roughly, of those computers we have that I listed earlier, they have about 43 computers and roughly 10 servers, with about 3 of those being virtual servers. Since 2014, we have replaced about 14 computers, including report writing, their booking computer, all of the record staff. The chief got a new computer. Two of the commanders did as well. We've also replaced all of their servers since 2014. So all of their servers are brand new. In fact, this year we replaced all of their cabling throughout the whole police department. It was aging internet cables with many different problems, and we replaced all of that. We've also replaced their Cisco switches and assisted in their firewall replacement as well. I listed here the LPR system, their license plate reader system. We've had very minimal involvement because the contractor that did the majority of it, but there were things that we had to do for the cars to be able to have them communicate back and forth with the server, and we were involved in that small portion of that, as well as I have 2FA up there. 2FA, as you may well know, is a two-factor authorization. Your Apple phone offers that now. That's something that you can do. It's for security. And all of the cars that have computers that can be removed are required by the DOJ and CJIS to have 2FA. And although the bugs are not totally worked out on this, we're compliant. We also maintain all the car computers, all their DVRs inside the car, and day-to-day operations as best we can. We also replaced all of the dispatch computers this year and replaced them with very high-speed, high-performance computers. Those are the most important computers over there. I mentioned the city library. The city library has 18 public computers. That doesn't count the staff computers that are out there. And you see I have listed there many problems, viruses. We have a really hard time with those computers. We have users that feel like they can do whatever they want to these computers. They bring in inappropriate material. They use different types of browsers to be able to bypass all of our filters. Our content filters, it seems like whatever we do to prevent it on our end, there's always somebody working a little bit harder to get around it. It's created viruses. It's created quite a bit of problems. And so what do we do about this? Well, this afternoon, we talked a little bit about what our solution is, and our solution is a virtual solution. We're going to implement virtual computers in the environment and make it so that we can lock every piece of that computer down. And if something happens to the operating system, well, it's virtual. We can recreate it in a minute. And so this is something that we talked about earlier today, and short of policing every user, this is probably going to be our best option to minimize some of these issues that we have at the library.
Chris, could you explain a little bit more of the virtual system and how that works?
Absolutely. So what we plan on doing is there's going to be a server. The server is going to contain all of our virtual software. And what we're going to do is we're going to create computers on on these servers. So what you do is the software will create an operating system with the necessary software to run your basic Word programs, your internet programs, anything of that nature which we allow or would allow on a computer. And so there will be what they call a zero client. It's a small box. It has the ability to run a keyboard, a mouse, and a monitor, and it's mounted to the back of the monitor. And everything then goes back to the main server, and everything is controlled at that server. So the client would not have any access to the hardware. And it's possible that we would not even allow them to bring in a USB, but that's something that we would have to really discuss as a group and then make it a policy or a procedure that we're not going to allow USBs.
These people that are able to bypass our filters, do I kind of infer from that they have a high technical sophistication that know how to do that,
Yeah.
correct?
I think that if you did a quick Google search on something called a Tor browser, I think that most people could download it, bring it in with the thumb drive, and be able to bypass any kind of content filtering. But has to be a level of technology that they have to have. But most computers that I've seen over there have had many of these problems.
So are these people, for the most part, seeing inappropriate material, or are they doing illegal transactions or illegal activities through our computers?
A little of both. We have torrenting of videos, an illegal download of a movie that may be out in the theater today, but can be found illegally on the internet. We have people that do the inappropriate material, whether it's guns or whatever it is. This is not a place library is not a place for that. And my filters flag this when they don't use the sophistication of an IP address hider or it's called an anonymizer. And as much as we try to stop it.
And are these computers positioned in a way that allows them privacy, or can we monitor just by walking around and see what people are having on their screens?
It is a very private. It can be private. It is almost a booth. It's a one-piece setup, but there are dividers between each station. But if somebody does walk around to monitor, it can be easily seen what's on there.
The thing that concerns me the most with regard to how they're located in the library is you would walk in the front door, past the computers, right into the children's section. So if you have anybody that is looking at pornography or anything else that's inappropriate, that is fully accessible to any of the kids that are moving into the children's area of the library.
So can that be redesigned to provide less privacy?
I think that would be a great idea.
That's one of the things. We did have our IT Measure P meeting tonight, or this afternoon. One of the things that we talked about with Chris, and I think actually it was Letty that came up with the idea of reserving one computer that would allow the USB port, and everybody else would not be allowed to do that. So for people that needed to work, I think you said on resumes and different
or
things,
real
presentations.
stuff.
But then, you're right, Ephraim, if we were to reconfigure so it's not as private, and we'd have to rely on our library staff to be up and around more, kind of through that area, that there would be opportunities for us to curtail some of this behavior.
And the children area has been one of our biggest problems because it is towards the back.
What about eliminating the partitions and just going with straight? I mean, I've been in other libraries where they don't have that partition. They have study rooms, which is different, but when they have a bank of computers, they just have them on straight tails, no partitions, which makes it a lot more visible, you know.
That would definitely create accountability.
I think what we'll look to do is ask Chris and his team to come up with some solutions, some options, and then as part of the whole IT recommendations and priorities that we'll
Right.
be coming forward to the council with, we will include Chris's ideas in that.
Also wonder if we couldn't maybe gain some insight from our library study that we had conducted. If there's anything in there that we can maybe draw out from the IT side about how they configure their computers, because a lot of their report was based on technology. So, you know, libraries of the future are technology heavy, so.
That's right.
When will be a good time to get an action plan or some kind of feedback on options that may be available for us to resolve this? This is a big issue. I mean,
Yes, it
I
is.
know everything is important, but this is really major from our perspective.
Earlier today, when Ms. Walker met with us, we discussed the 1st of December getting back together, because there's a few things that she requested from me and from my team. So maybe by the first week in December, after the holidays in November, we can get together.
Yeah, I think, Mr. Silva, that we're going to come to you with a recommendation to move forward very quickly with a number of IT improvements using Measure P funding that is already available. So I know this council has talked about being able to expend monies without having to go through bonding if that money's available. And I think that, given the numbers that Chris has been able to provide to us, we're going to come back with recommendations that we can move forward with very, very quickly, and with the emphasis on some library solutions.
That's right.
Can I just ask that, not necessarily in the context of our Measure P capital discussions, but we do give some visibility to our library commissioners in terms of privacy issues. 'Cause I'm sure there's an opportunity then where they can maybe generate some ideas as well, so.
Well, I think that, Chris, if you could coordinate, Ms. Piedra, if we could have Chris maybe do that portion of his presentation. Was it project number 4?
Yeah.
That had to do with all of the...
Three,
was-
the 3 has the library. The
Okay,
4
3.
The 4 was the.
Oh, that 4 was the
antenna.
antenna. So if maybe the priority project 3 could be presented, that's an excellent idea.
Yeah.
And then I wonder, to Mr. Jackson's point, if we can just remove the barriers now.
That's a great idea.
All right, sir.
All right. So I want to talk about avoiding a threat. We have seen recently places, especially Equifax, Target, Anthem, and JP Morgan. That's just to name a few very large name organizations that have been attacked by criminals, and quite a bit of information has been breached. And this is something that we here take very seriously, and we are working very hard to stop this kind of attack. We have removed all old operating systems. You can see I have listed there XP operating. If you can believe it, we still had XPs running around. Yep. And that's why part of our request is for Windows 10, because I don't want to get stuck again
No.
where we're running Windows 7 and we're 3 years behind.
Because it no longer supported at
No longer
any
supported.
level. Yeah.
And we're getting close to Windows 7 no longer
Right.
being supported. Even the servers, the server operating system 2003 was out there. And within the last 6 months, I have removed all of these. And sometimes it's put the user out. And they may not have funds to purchase a new computer, but I cannot afford to have that in our system. We also need to look at an application control. Not only does our library users experience this capability of being able to bypass our filters, but our City of El Centro employees know exactly how to do this as well, and this has been an issue that we've dealt with over the last few years as well, with inappropriate material, with software that shouldn't be installed, and the licensing of software that's less than questionable. This is something that we have to take very seriously, and we need to step up, and this is part of this application control. We also need more physical security. We talked about locking down our server rooms better. Even though our server rooms are very well protected, we need to step up that security as well. And then we have a fishing problem. And I wish it was just with real fish in the canals, but this is with the pH and fishing. And our attacks that have come here at the city have been either because of somebody within our city torrenting a video illegally, or being fished and getting caught up in a phishing scam where we have gotten hit 3 times with an encryption virus that had the potential of taking us down 3 times. If it wasn't for our backups, we'd be in serious trouble. And most recently, the finance department has been starting to take credit cards. And with Ms. Salcido, we've worked together to become PCI compliant. And that is something that I just figured I would add in with this, because this is something that is important as well, to protect our customers. And kind of jumping off on that thought, with the help of Ms. Salcido and the direction of Terry Brownlee, I have been researching new and more in-depth policies and procedures to implement to the city so that we can control our hardware and our software and get the respect that we need when we have to say you can't do this. And so we're in the process of that right now. It's a long process, but it's something that we have as a priority, and we're working on it very diligently. City is also a part of the IVTA, Imperial Valley Transit Authority. It's something that from the ICOE that we get all of our internet from. This is our fiber speed. I don't know if you've got on the internet on these computers, but this is a lot faster than you'll may or may not have at home. And that's because we run fiber, and we pay yearly for all of our demarcation points. And currently, just really briefly, we are participating in an LTE border link project, which will give underprivileged children internet activity, internet access at home. Part of the ICOE IVTA's thought was that they have internet at home, they just are at school, but they don't have it at home. So this is going to give them that ability, and we are going to be allowing them to utilize one of our buildings for this project.
Excellent.
And then my favorite slide is questions.
All right. Well, I
Any
do
questions?
appreciate the opportunity, and I want to thank Mayor Pro Tem Vegas Walker. I believe it was your idea to have that, and I know that's infrastructure that we sometimes don't really address. So I do want to thank Ms. Brownlee and Chris for your presentation. Very comprehensive, really enriches in some of the challenges and opportunities that we have. I don't believe they have any other comments from our council.
Two quick questions. So laptops, do they have some kind of a kill switch on them? So if they get stolen or something, you can,
Currently, no, we do not.
we gonna purchase something
That's
to
part
do
of the
that?
application control that we're looking at doing, can not only do that for our laptops, but also for our portable cell phones.
Yes.
Because
Okay.
that's just as important.
Okay. And then, as we're developing the policies and procedures, I know that the League of California Cities could probably give us examples of any kind of IT policy we need, including HR-related ones that kind of talk through progressive discipline with regard to privacy and all of that. Are all of the software purchases going through you, or will be directed through you to make sure
They
that they're all?
currently are not.
Okay,
And
how
like
do we
just-
change that?
Well, like we did, I think that needs to be a policy and procedure, and Ms. Salcido and I have actually been talking about this as well, because even for computer purchases, we usually are bypassed. We may get a quote and give them, this is what we recommend that you buy, and they usually go off of our recommendation, but this is a policy or a procedure possibly that we need to implement. In order for you to buy anything, it needs to come through us. And the software, like we talked about earlier, any kind of software needs to be approved by the IT, any and all software.
I know you're racing around putting out a lot of fires, but it would be awesome if we could have an IT strategy that kind of talked
Absolutely.
through, this is how many computers we're gonna look to replace, and
Yep.
this is what our infrastructure is gonna look like, so maybe we have that out there as a stretch goal for coming year.
Absolutely.
And thank you for the presentation. I think.
That was excellent,
that was
excellent.
And-
Thank you, sir.
And, you know, it's a never-ending threat, and it's a never-ending updating of the technology and keep up with the good guys and the bad guys as well. So,
Councilmember Jackson?
Yeah, just one question. Chris, on, we allow the use of our chambers to a lot of different organizations, and I'm assuming that when we do that, we allow them to somehow use our Wi-Fi system. My question is there protections for that as far as, is some of that phishing and things like that, could that be taking place by people that are not our employees that are utilizing the facility?
If they're using just our Wi-Fi just to access the internet, no, we wouldn't. See, these computers here, with the exception of this one here, is not technically on our network.
Okay.
We don't allow these computers to see any of our network drives or our network, anything for that matter. You have Office on there possibly, I don't remember, and you have the internet and you have your IQM2 on there. But this would be the only one. But we do have concerns when people use our equipment, and whether they log into these computers or not, that's something that, again, is another procedure that we need to tighten up.
Because one of the things we've seen happen before, kind of takes our breath away, is when somebody will bring their own USB drive and plug it in right there. And
Yeah.
we probably need to have a policy that everything's going to be scanned first. And
Yep, or sent to the city
Yes.
clerk so that, I mean, I brought my thumb drive in earlier and I was
Yeah.
told I couldn't do that.
Exactly.
So I needed some IT help on that. It was tough. It was
Right.
tough.
Okay.
All right.
Excellent. We're
Thank you, sir.
Very, very
Okay.
fortunate to have you.
All right, we're going to go ahead and move down to our consent item, and I believe Councilmember Silva has requested that we pull item number 10. Any other items that any other council member want to pull in regards to items 4 through 13? Seeing that there's none, before we approve it, I do need to read a statement, and the statement reads as follows. It says, before we move on taking any action on the consent agenda, I'd like to publicly announce that last year's Governor Brown signed legislation requiring the city council to orally report a summary of any council action on salaries, salary schedules, or fringe benefits for any executive managers, which includes department heads. Accordingly, before the city council this evening, as part of the consent agenda, it is a recommendation to approve a salary and benefit resolution for the deputy city manager and city clerk. The resolutions before the city council include a 2% base salary increase for each. Also, for the deputy city manager, there is an increase in the car allowance and the payment of professional dues and subscriptions. So I wanted to read that statement.
And I think it's really important for us to clarify that this is not an off-cycle increase. This is actually us being kind of late in
Yeah.
getting their reviews done. These were supposed to have been done back in July, so that's why it's.
July?
Well,
Are we that
the
late?
contracts, right, were supposed to be retroactive back to July because
Yeah.
we were supposed to get
I know.
around to it sooner rather than later, so
We're just being thorough.
Yeah.
we're being thorough, that's what it is.
So at this point, I do have a motion from Councilmember Silva, second from Mayor Pro Tem Vegas Walker. We'll go ahead and vote. And in regards to the consent items 6 through 13, excluding 10, that passes 5-0. We're going to go ahead and move to item number 10, and I'll go ahead and turn that over to Councilmember Silva.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I really don't have an item, a question on the item, but I did want to ask Abraham. I had sent Abraham a notice earlier today that I wanted to get an update on the condition of the sewer lift station that I mentioned to you that I had a personal experience with it, that it was pretty strong odor coming out of that, and what options we may be looking at or where we are in terms of that, and take advantage that the developer is here as well.
Yeah, sure. So the lift station that you're talking about is pump station number 2. It was a pump station that was relocated from the intersection of I-8 and Imperial Avenue and relocated to La Brasserie and Wake. That's the corner that we're
Right.
talking about. The pump station takes basically moves it into the future so we can accept additional growth. But it does come with some concerns, and some of the main one that's been raised up is odor control. It was barely brought online probably 2 weeks ago or so, if I remember. And that's when the order started. We're still fine-tuning and finding a way and exploring different options on how to reduce that order. There's various options out there. It's just an ongoing maintenance expense that's is part of the wastewater treatment facility and program. And one thing that's being explored right now is a chemical addition to the sewer, which will basically combat the hydrogen sulfide, the H2S, that's causing the odor. And that requires some exploration, some testing to measure the levels so that they can design a delivery system of the chemical to match it and be effective. It takes a little time, a few weeks to do the testing, and then a little bit extra to come up with a system, purchase the material, and go in. So unfortunately, the timing is it's going to take us a few weeks maybe to get everything worked out, but it's a high priority to get this under control.
So Abraham, from your perspective, because we have other lift stations across the city, correct? And I've never,
Received a complaint.
received, I smell one like that.
Yeah.
And I've been to others. So are you able to tell us what's the difference? And are we looking at a short-term solution and a long-term solution so that this doesn't become a problem and we start getting calls as those homes begin to get built out there?
I think it's a little bit of both. There's both permanent solutions, depending on how you look at it. Right now, the chemical solution is an ongoing. Permanent solution is just the delivery system and the chemical is ongoing for the life of it. You could look at other build systems that are, you build something to treat it, which is a lot more expensive, but it requires less maintenance, or spend the ongoing on the deal. We're evaluating different options, see what's better. Right now, the chemical solution is the way to go. It basically neutralizes the gas.
And I know you say that that's, I appreciate the fact that you said that's a priority, but I'm assuming that's a priority for the developer. If he starts showing lots out there and people smell, they're gonna walk away. And
We understand it's a
yeah.
sensitive
So,
area.
if you can please, are we just looking at internally in terms of possible solutions, or are we getting some assistance from consultants that kind of
It's a
are expert on
consultants.
these fields?
The wastewater plant supervisor has contacts with different agencies. It's not the first location. There's other locations that are receiving treatment. That's probably why you haven't noticed or received complaints. But it takes a little time to fine tune it. That's the process that they're going through right now to get that taken care of. And they've already done some preliminary work. They have devices that measure the levels of gas and their concentrations. They drop into the manholes basically at different locations throughout the site, so they have identified where it's coming from. So now they're going to be tackling how to reduce it at that point.
Can you send us updates on status of
Sure.
This is just a follow-up question. And so I live in Farmers, and so I've been smelling it every day also. And you might have answered this question, but you said that we have other lift stations that are being treated currently with the chemical. Basically, so you're saying that that's pretty normal with these lift stations, that there's always an odor with them? Or is it just a different construction or a different type of lift station that we installed this time?
No, it's normal. It depends on where they're getting, the distance that's traveled. We live in a flat area, so it takes a long time from water and sewers to flow from one spot to the other. There's different reasons why we have lift stations. We're actually flowing against the grades of the land right now. Our wastewater station is located on the high spot of the city, and usually sewer likes to flow downhill, so that's why we have pumps trying to get it back to the sewer pump station. Now, the area that the odor is coming from is actually more on the southeast area of town that is served also by this lift station. Once we have another pump station that's going to be built over on the east side, over by Farnsworth, that'll help a lot, but that's still years out. Right now, we're going to work with a chemical solution and to get it under control. It's normal operating procedures on different locations.
Okay.
Neighbor, do you think we can go ahead and bring this back and would 4 weeks work for you as far as giving us an update and maybe coming before us and giving us an update on where we're at?
We can get an update
on that
in
item.
4 weeks.
Actually, Mr. Mayor, if we can bring it back at our next council meeting, just an update.
A
So that
sniff
we'll-
test.
Yeah,
All right,
so we
Very
can
well.
make sure that we stay on top of it.
all right. So
thanks.
next, or Marcelo, I guess what we would ask or we would request that we'd bring this item back maybe at our next council meeting?
Sure.
21st.
The 21st, and give us an update. Is that all right, Mr. McFedrich? Okay. Yes, sir. You want to come to the podium, sir?
Hi, you guys all know me, I'm Gary McFettridge, with doing the Lotus Ranch subdivision, and this is where we're having the problems with the odor source, the lift station. We were told back when we had the EIR done on that there wasn't gonna be an odor to it. And I double checked with planning today, and Adriana also said in one of the meetings, and I was at that meeting, and we were told by I guess the maintenance department, that there wasn't gonna be an odor to it. And now, it's pretty stiff odor. I mean, for me to do my project, I can't have that odor. Because that station's just right on our entryway into our project. It's on the very corner. I never did agree with that thing being there. I always thought it should be down by Interstate 8. But one thing I'd like to suggest is, and I talked to Abraham about it today, and he agreed to do it, but I'd like to, the people that installed it, which was A&R Construction, if it'd be possible for maybe the city engineer and the people from A&R to sit down and talk, and they may have a few suggestions on it also. And I've talked to them a little bit, and I think they have some ideas. And I think it would really help.
A good idea.
You okay?
Well, we're gonna bring this back in 2 weeks, Mr. McFedrich. We're gonna stay on top of it, and I know our staff, and just by listening to some of the technical expertise that Mr. Campos is bringing, we'll get this thing all straightened out.
Okay.
All
Thank
right?
you.
And also, while you're up here, I do want to congratulate you and looking forward to those 574 houses that we'll be building on the south side of our city.
We're really excited. You've probably seen, we've already started some work out there. And I really appreciate the city council, helping me get this thing through. It was quite a process. I want to especially thank the Planning Commission and the city attorney for helping us with some difficult areas that we had. And it took a long time to get here, but I think it's going to be worth it.
Well, I want to piggyback on that and thank Councilmember Jason Jackson, who sits on our LAFCO
Yes.
board, and his help and his advocacy on that and moving that along, so.
For sure,
So
for
thank you,
sure.
Mr. Jackson.
I can't wait to see lumber out there, Gary, and
10
tractors.
years.
Yeah. It's been a long time.
All right, sir.
Thank you, guys.
Well, with that being said, we do have a motion from Councilmember Jackson, second from Mayor Pro Tem Villegas Walker, and we got a 5-0 here, so that's successfully adopted. Good luck, sir. Keep us posted.
Just real quick, we hope to see you all there November 18 in our
ribbon cutting.
area, so we can do some groundbreaking celebration.
All right, all right, thank you. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and power through this. We got a couple public hearings. We're gonna go ahead and move to item number 14. I'm gonna ask Ms. Villacana to kind of come up and get ready, but we have item 14. It's a public hearing for the zoning ordinance, text amendment 17-05, amending, is that chapter 28, 29? Zoning related to commercial cannabis, medicinal and non-medicinal land uses. Ms. Villacana.
Thank you. Good evening. The project before you is a follow-up of action taken back on September 19th. As you recall, the City Council back on September 19th, 2017, adopted an ordinance banning all commercial cannabis activities within the city. Because our zoning code is what we call our permissive zoning code, we needed to come back to you to make sure that those, that ban for the cannabis is listed within our code. So The changes that we're proposing is basically adding a definition for commercial cannabis activity. The definition, this is the definition which includes as defined in the ordinance. The changes to the zoning regulations will be completed within all the zones, which would be residential zones. And as you can see, we listed and we X'd all the residential zones under commercial cannabis. Same thing with commercial zones. If you recall, a few years back, there was an ordinance that allowed the medical cannabis. We needed to clean that up, so we're removing that language and we're including the ban. Same thing with the manufacturing zones. And Civic Center. So in that regard, under CEQA, this project is exempt from CEQA. The public hearing was published in the Ivy Press. Now, and Planning Commission did consider the item back in October and recommended approval of the item.
Perfect. Okay, at this point, if there's no questions from council, I'm going to go ahead and open up this public hearing, and it's regarding to item number 14, public hearing for zoning ordinance text amendment 17-05, amending chapter 29, zoning related to commercial cannabis. I do appreciate the cleanup on that. Do you have any comments to this item, Ms. Diane?
No.
Being that there's none, is any other comments from the audience? Being that there's none, we're going to go ahead and close the public hearing, bring it back to council. Any additional comments? Yes, Councilmember Jackson?
Just one question. Norma, so basically, in short terms, this is just cleaning up the language to conform to the position that we took a couple meetings back.
That's correct.
Okay.
And this is also based on a recommendation by the league that we make sure that the ban, if we're banning it, to include that.
The language
The
to
language,
coincide
yes.
with it.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
All
Thank you.
right, public hearing's been open, been closed, no comments. At this point, I'd entertain a motion to adopt this. We do have a motion from Councilmember Jackson, second from Efrain Silva. We'll go ahead and go and vote, and that's adopted 5-0. Thank you very much. We're going to go ahead and move down to item number 15. This is another public hearing regarding zone ordinance for text amendment 17-06, amendment to chapter 29 zoning relating to R1 minimal lot areas. Yes, ma'am.
Good evening. This is a project that we've been working for a while. If you recall, back in 2015, under then Mayor Silva, we held several meetings to try to spur out development. So there were several items that came out of those meetings. We heard from developers, from stakeholders, and one of the suggestions was that maybe the city should consider reducing the minimum lot size from 7,200 to maybe 6,000 square feet. So this is what we're proposing at this time, to reduce it from 7,200 to 6,000 square feet, which means that the density will increase from 6 to 7 units per acre. This would require minor changes to the ordinance, and this is what we're bringing before you tonight. So part of the objectives of contemplating the reduction of the minimum lot size was development costs, reduce development cost, modify the standards to be compatible with other areas, and provide greater flexibility for developers when they're designing their residential projects. In that regard, in reviewing the proposal, what staff did is we went back and looked at what other cities are doing. So we compared our neighboring cities, and we actually found out that here in Imperial County, we were the only ones who had a minimum lot size requirement of 7,200 square feet. So in that regard, we would be consistent with the other cities, and so we see no problem with that. And this is just photographs of what a 6,000 square foot lot can accommodate. It could accommodate up to 2,400 square foot home versus on the older side of town, we have a 6,900 square foot lot with a 1,400 square foot home. The project is exempt from CEQA, and the notice was published with the Imperial Valley Prize. So at this time, we are recommending to open the public hearing and consider the reduction of the minimum lot size to 6,000 square feet by approving the ordinance before you.
Thank you, Ms. Villacana. If there's no initial comments from council, I'm going to go ahead and open the public hearing regarding item number 15, public hearing for zoning ordinance text amendment 17-06, amendment to chapter 29 zoning relating to R1 minimal lot areas. At this time, that public hearing is now open. Ms. Diane, do we have any comments related to this item?
No.
Any comments related from the public or from the public? Being that there's none, bring it back to council. I'm going to go ahead and close the public hearing. Any just general comments? Mr.
Question.
Silva?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Norma, for bringing this. I think this is long overdue and is going to hopefully make a difference in terms of attracting housing developers in the city. So thank you for that. But as I recall, and I haven't gone back to read our plan, but I seem to recall that there was other things also that we could do to facilitate development, and I kind of modifying the retention basin criteria is something that comes to mind. We talk about parking requirements. We talked about coverage ratio. We also talked about, as I recall, doing a reevaluation of the water and sewer connection rates. Has any of that taken traction?
Some of those items we're working on the one that is a little bit more difficult is the water and sewer rate study, and that's something that I'm not sure if there are any plans for the near future to do a new water and sewer rate.
So I don't remember exactly, but there was some idea, and I have to go back and think about it, that would reduce. As I recall, there was nothing we could do in terms of the water and sewer. And I don't know, Terry, if you remember the conversations, but I think it was suggested that some modifications could be done on the water rate or the water connections. Do you have any recollection of that, Terry?
Referring to the meeting, it was a meeting, one or two meetings before where we talked about how with the new meters.
No.
But yes,
This goes back more than a year, when we met with developers and we asked them what weren't you building in El Centro, and they gave us a whole list of things that we're beginning to address.
Okay, I do recall that.
And
we were talking about lowering the rates.
Right, and so the concept of why we couldn't just arbitrarily lower the rates was discussed, but I seem to recall that there was some ideas discussed, offered that would make it a little more affordable for developers. Do you have any recollection of that?
I know there's reduced rates for like small condos and that type of thing, based on number of bedrooms.
Well, I know what it was. I think the discussion was that because of water efficiencies in the newer technology being used in homes, that the water usage would be lower, and consequently, some of the water fees should be adjusted accordingly.
We're going to go ahead and move forward with a new rate study for both water and wastewater, so we can look into that.
Okay.
See if that's possible.
Yeah, that's right. They had to do something with more efficient systems of that kind. So is the study going to
I think so, and
address that as well?
As well as smaller homes, possibly.
Okay.
But that, we can include that in the RFP for the
Okay.
study.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
All right,
Well, and
so,
I just wanted to add on this issue with the the lift station. Between Laboratory and Imperial, over a year ago, we put that sewer line in, and that's sat there stagnant now for a year. So everything, it's like if you put sewage in a drum and left it there for a year and pulled the lid off, you've got this anaerobic digestion, and that contributed to a lot of the smell that occurred. So that was the first time we operated that lift station, when you experienced that smell, and you were pulling all that half a mile or mile, whatever the distance is there, of that sewer line through that lift station for the very first time, and that's why the smell was so bad. But we will report back on improvements on that.
Awesome, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, if there's any other questions,
So, Norma, what about some of the other stuff that
Yes,
we're?
currently we're working on the retention basin standards. I think we submitted, we've reviewed it with the Community Enhancement Task Force. Now we need to push it forward, make some minor revisions and push it forward. We're also looking at maybe, currently we have an ordinance, a resolution that allows for deferral of impact fees, but it doesn't, it only covers development impact fees.
Right.
So maybe we could work on and we're looking at this, including other types of fees, because right now the main thing is the water and sewer fees. That's where we get all the complaints. And not until we do the study can we kind of get a hold of that. The other items was parking. We're looking at, with the new state regulations and policies being put in place, we are looking at reducing the parking requirements. Although here in the Imperial County, everybody drives a car, but we're working on that. And there was another one, and I have it in my
I think,
office.
as I recall, we also talked about increasing the coverage ratio on a
Yes,
lot, and
yes, we're
allow
doing
bigger
that.
homes in smaller lots.
Yes, and that's part of the analysis. And so we're gonna come back with a few of those options in the near future. But right now, we thought that minimum lot size, because new developments seem to be coming in, right now is the time to do this, and then we're gonna be working on the other.
Thank you, Norma.
Ms. Villacania, I was at a conference last Friday sponsored by the Los Angeles Business Council on housing, transportation, and a couple other related topics. One of the things they talked about is cities really needing to be prepared for the implementation of, I think it's SB 35 by Senator Wiener, where the approval of some types of housing becomes very much a ministerial act, and you better have your ducks in a row, otherwise developers will come in and be allowed to have their projects approved without it coming through a CEQA process, without it coming through any kind of a hearing process. It's essentially a by right, or so if they construct it and it's allowed under your general plan and codes, then
That's
they're off
correct.
to the races.
Yeah.
And so there's been a lot of emphasis on ensuring that you're ready and that you have everything in play, so that you don't end up with construction of types of housing that you don't want.
Right.
So
And
are there
that's,
things that we're looking at in that
well,
regard?
that's one of the major things we're looking at, and also transportation hubs, the requirements now. I mean, it seems like so.
So a lot of the parking requirements now, if you're within a certain area, like a half mile from
Right.
transit or something, the parking requirements almost fall off the planet. I mean, you don't. not having to
Accessory
provide-
dwelling units,
Oh, and the
those.
accessory dwelling
Yeah,
units.
those are other things that we're gonna
Right.
come back before you to revise our ordinance according to state
Yeah.
law, so
Yeah.
yes.
County of Los Angeles has seen the applications for the secondary dwelling units just go through the roof.
We have to. I
but-
mean, we're getting
Yeah.
more than we usually get.
Yeah, and now I guess JP Morgan Chase now is offering financing
Oh,
for those units, so I guess people are finding a way to do it. One of the questions that was asked was whether or not module units can simply be placed on the property as opposed to construction.
Right now, we're not allowing them, but we're looking into
Okay.
that, yes.
So, and then the other thing that was brought up, which I thought was kind of interesting, is so people are allowed to add this unit onto their home, But, so everybody becomes an expert in the construction of one small modular unit on their, or one small accessory dwelling unit, and then they don't use that expertise again. But if we could find a developer that would be willing to develop some expertise in that area, bing, bing, bang, anybody that wants to put one in,
Yeah.
put one in.
Well, and another major impediment that people share with us when we had those public forums were school fees. And now, obviously, we have no jurisdiction over that, but I do wonder if the local schools are still in their declining enrollment, or their enrollment is increased.
Stabilized, I
Yeah,
don't know.
Still
Because-
hovers around 5,000, so.
yeah, so,
Stagnant then,
yeah.
until
Status
Gary
quo.
gets his homes built, and then we'll have a lot more kids.
I wonder if it may be of any benefit to perhaps have a discussion with the school districts, and it's to their advantage as well that we build homes in El Centro. Maybe they can talk about relaxing some of the school fees and you know, and incentivize people to build homes in El Centro.
But, you know, a couple of things that we've got going for us, and I never hear them talked about very much, is that if you're living in Brawley, you're paying an additional property tax for the hospital, because it's a district hospital, right? And then if they pass their Measure
W?
Oh, today?
W,
Is it W? I think it's
I
W.
mean, that's an additional, what, 5% utility tax that you pay if you're living in Brawley? So Gary, you need to go out and market, and make sure that people understand it's cheaper to live in El Centro.
Yeah. All right. Well, with
Thank you,
that
Norma.
being said, do appreciate the comments. Truly a game changer. Thank you for bringing that to council, Ms. Villacaña. And thanks to Councilmember Silva for his help on that. So we do have a motion from Mayor Pro Tem Villegas Walker and a second from Councilmember Garcia. So, and that is adopted 5-0. Thank you very much. We're going to go ahead and move down to new business, and we do have, under item 16, we have some discussion and necessary action regarding appointment of delegate and alternative for the upcoming National League of Cities. So I'm hopeful both myself and Edgar and Councilmember Edgar Garcia will be attending. So I'm hopeful that the council will be supportive of me being able to
sharing a room?
represent.
Cut expenses by
Yeah,
sharing a room?
we should. But
No?
no.
Boy, Edgar
I don't
answered
think there's
that
a
really
way.
quickly, too. He's
Yeah.
like, no.
So I'm hopeful that, and I don't know if this is an action item or not, but
Yeah.
it is? Okay, that's what, okay. So I'm hoping that I can
The
represent.
delegate and Edgar's
Yeah,
the
it was-
vice or
Yes, sir.
sub
Bring
or-
back some great ideas
Yeah.
for us.
So we do have a motion from, I'm having some trouble here. Okay. I do have a motion from Councilmember Jason Jackson, and then I have a second from Mayor Pro Tem, and then that successfully carries 5-0. So thank you very much. We're going to go ahead and move into public
Mayor?
comment. Yes.
Is Mr. Garcia going to be the alternate, or we won't have an alternate?
Mr. Garcia would be, Councilmember Garcia would be the alternate. Okay, we're going to go ahead and move to public comment. I know I have one slip, and then before we go to public comment, I maybe ask Ms. Diane to kind of read just some background information regarding public comment here at City Council.
The City Council welcomes your comment and your input at this time. Members of the public may address the City Council on any matter not listed on the posted agenda. Pursuant to the Brown Act, no action will be taken on any issue brought forth under public comments. We ask that you please complete a speaker slip and submit it to the city clerk prior to the start of the meeting. Although you are not required to identify yourself, this information on the speaker slip assists the mayor, and that all persons wishing to address the council are recognized, and also assists the city clerk in preparing the city council meeting minutes. Unless the mayor extends the time, there is a 3-minute time limit for each public presentation. Any information provided on the speaker slip is voluntary, but will be public record. Thank you.
All right, I see we have SOS in full force. Ms. Velarde, buenas tardes. And we have Ms. Rosario Velarde here.
Yes, thank
Yes,
you very
ma'am.
much. Muy buenas noches a todos. Good evening. And I want to say thank you very much. Y, well, Norma me ha pedido que me vaya despacito para poder interpretar correctamente. Entonces, bueno, el propósito de...
Sabe que me disculpa, por favor. So, Norma, are you interpreting? Or-
Yes, I-
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
El
Ms. Velarde.
propósito,
Okay,
el
go ahead.
propósito de estar aquí es, recordar el propósito cuando el grupo SOS empezó hizo una petición hace 3 años, casi 3 años. Y esto
Dele-
era...
dele- dele oportunidad a-
This is a reminder that SOS Club started 3 years ago. And just to let you know that it started 3 years ago and they would like to have some requests.
Esto era una petición simple, sencilla, y era el punto número 1, establecer un presupuesto en el Adult Center. Porque
dele oportunidad que traduzcan esto.
The request is to establish a request at the adult center.
Porque en el Adult Center ha habido presupuesto que la ciudad ha designado, pero esto ha sido para pagar empleados y pagar mantenimiento.
Ms. Velarde is saying that the request that the city asked for is that they pay fees just to pay for the employees and to pay for the facilities.
Pero no para pagar o apoyar actividades para senior. No ha existido ese presupuesto nunca.
She's saying that there is not an additional, I believe, monetary money to establish adult education, adult classes.
Entonces, hay dudas entre las personas senior acerca de lo que está promocionando ya IBC, de querer venir al Adult Center para dar ciertas actividades, y no nos ha quedado claro la pregunta. ¿Qué?
Yeah, Ms. Velarde is saying that there's so little activities that they have for seniors that IBC introduced a program that they want to come over to the adult center and offer classes for seniors.
Y no nos queda claro la pregunta, la ciudad, ¿en qué va a apoyar?
She wants to know what the city can provide for them.
Entonces, si ustedes tienen una respuesta ahorita o lo quieren hacer después,
She would like an answer to see what the city can provide for them or an answer later.
So, if I may, you're going to be able to translate to Ms. Velarde for me?
Yes.
Okay. Well, déjame decir, ¿no tienen ningún otros comentarios, Ms. Velarde? I'm just asking if she has any additional comments before I respond.
no, el punto principal es ese. Si IBC viene al Adult Center, la ciudad, bueno, esa pregunta ya se las hice a ustedes cuando nos tuvimos la conferencia con ustedes. Entonces, la ciudad, ¿qué va a apoyar?
She's asking if IBC comes over and offers classes at the adult center, how is the city going to provide for the adults?
What do we know about those IBC classes?
Yeah, so,
And what I was going to do, if I may,
Okay,
is
okay.
I want to be sure, and Norma, I just want to make sure it's communicated. We're under public comment right now.
Estamos bajo comentario público.
Correcto.
Typically, there's no action that takes place under this type of situation.
Cuando es comentario público no se puede hacer ninguna acción.
However, I do want to allow Councilmember Efrain Silva to provide some input to the entire council on potentially this IBC partnership.
Él está preguntando con Councilman Silva que nos dé más información sobre las clases que IBC va a poder dar.
So I'm going to turn it over to Councilmember Silva.
yeah, thank you. So lo voy a hacer en inglés, Ms. Velarde, para que
Yeah,
lo
it's
traduzca,
fine.
que lo traduzcan
It's fine.
en español. So, almost wearing a different hat right now, so,
It's actually pretty exciting.
I'm in charge of among many other things, I'm in charge of the non-credit program at IBC, and non-credit is a system of education that allows IBC to provide free courses to our community within different categories. One of those categories being services to seniors, and we're in the process of soliciting approval for a couple of exercise type courses that would allow us to go into not just El Centro, but we're going to be attempting to provide those courses in Imperial, any community that can gather enough students to participate, we'll be offering those courses. Those courses, again, are free of charge. We don't charge the students anything. All we need is just a facility, a place to hold it, and the lights to be turned on. And I'm sorry. Go ahead. Sorry.
Good luck.
IBC,
You know what? I'll translate it. I'll
Okay.
translate it. So, yeah. I just got going. So, ya he platicado con muchos de ustedes. Voy a repetir lo que dije en inglés. Ya que el Colegio del Valle Imperial, Imperial Valley College, está en el proceso de solicitar aprobación del Estado para poder ofrecer cursos a personas de la tercera edad en diferentes áreas. La área que estamos solicitando inicialmente es en la área de ejercicios y se han desarrollado. Ya tengo 2 cursos que están a punto de ser aprobados que nos van a permitir que el colegio IVC vaya a las comunidades y ofrezca estos cursos sin costo para los alumnos. Entonces, en ese momento ustedes van a ser alumnos de IVC o tomando ciertas clases de ejercicio. So at that moment in time, our seniors will become IVC students that are entitled to receive these services. Y lo único que se necesita de la ciudad del Centro o cualquier otra comunidad que esté interesada en dar estos servicios es un espacio con las luces prendidas y que haya espacio para poder ofrecer estos cursos. The timing for this is fall of 18, so agosto, septiembre del 18 es donde vamos a ofrecer eso. Entonces, ese servicio va a ser ofrecido por IVC. Espero que con la ayuda de la ciudad que nos ofrezcan el lugar, el espacio sin costo para nosotros. But I think Mrs. Velarde's question is a little deeper than my explanation. I think what she is wanting to know is, fine, IVC may come and may resolve, or at least be able to provide something that they've been asking for a long time, and that's free or low-cost exercise type courses. They specifically talked about Tai Chi and yoga. But I think her question, and I know that because I've spoken to her, the mayor and I spoke to them a couple of I think it was last week, is, okay, fine, IBC takes care of that. Great. I think they're appreciative of that, but they still don't perceive that the city is still providing for them. And so what is it that the city can do for them beyond just providing space for IBC to go and offer courses? ¿Verdad? Eso es básicamente lo que usted se está preguntando, ¿verdad?
Bueno, la pregunta es esa, que ha existido una duda y no nos contestan claramente las cosas. Cuando se iban a incrementar los taxis en la balota.
Deja que traduzca, Nora.
Ms. Velarde is asking, excuse me, she's asking that there's never been a definite answer as what can the city provide for them.
Sí, es esa la pregunta. Y cuando los taxis de aquí del centro se iban a poner en la balota, se metió también a los seniors para incrementar los taxis. Entonces, ahora, si el colegio se mete aquí al Adult Center, ¿qué es la ciudad va a poner? Porque no...
Ms. Velarde is saying that the seniors were very involved with the election with Measure P. And now if IBC comes in and offers classes, what can they get out of that? What can it be provided for them?
Can I respond to that? And what I'm saying, one of the things, and I want to be very clear, what we can respond with is infrastructure. And what that means is buildings, staff, to supplement the efforts of IVC, which is something important, in-kind space, and that is something important. So what I want to respond to is the city's in a good position to provide infrastructure to partner with agencies like IVC so we can expand on the activities and provide lower costs.
El alcalde dice que lo que puede hacer la ciudad para ustedes es aprobar o darles un lugar donde tengan sus clases, donde IBC venga de clases y ustedes tengan un edificio donde puedan tener todo esto.
Pero la pregunta sigue siendo, aparte de la infraestructura que la ciudad va a poner, ¿qué otro presupuesto puede dar la ciudad donde no ha existido nunca un presupuesto para actividades de senior? Como les vuelvo a repetir, ha existido el presupuesto, pero para pagar empleados y también para mantenimiento, pero para actividades para senior nunca han dado nada.
She's asking, apart from infrastructure, there's always been, she has always presented the city with maybe helping them out monetarily, paying for their classes. Yes, the citizens, the employees get paid, the buildings are there, but they want monetary help.
Let me, I'm gonna allow, did you have some comments,
What-
Council?
No, I guess I'm just confused. We receive a booklet on senior activities that are offered at the Adult Center.
El concilio siempre recibe una boleta donde están todas las clases de los ciudadanos.
So are the classes being offered or not being offered?
¿Las clases están siendo ofrecidas o no están siendo ofrecidas?
Hay clases, pero esas clases, como por ejemplo crochet, el crochet es por voluntarias que están las personas donando su tiempo. Hay clases de joyería, que eso abrió ese camino para que existieran más clases, la maestra dona su tiempo.
Most of the people that teach, they're teaching crocheting and then jewelry making, but those people that are teaching those classes are offering their time free of charge.
But that wasn't my question. What I'm trying to understand, because in looking at the brochure that's been provided, it literally looks like you can be at the adult center from mid-morning to have lunch, to activities both before and after lunch, every single day.
Dice que siempre hay, en el libro que está para los senior citizens, hay clases desde la mañana hasta después del lonche.
Pues sí hay clases y algunas clases como computación son pagadas y cuestan $25 para personas adultas y para los seniors son $15. Las clases de Tai Chi son pagadas por los seniors. Las clases de yoga, cuando las hemos tenido, son pagadas por los seniors.
There's computer classes that are being offered. They're $25 regularly, but for senior citizens, it's $15. They're also offering Tai Chi, which they have to pay, and then yoga classes, which they have to pay for too.
So that's the issue. It's not that the classes are not being offered, because the classes are being offered. What they're asking is that they be offered for free. I think that's important for us to understand.
Usted lo que quiere, los senior citizens, que las clases estén gratuitas.
I'm confused.
No queremos que las clases sean gratis, pero que la ciudad regrese un poquito de lo que los seniors generan. Los seniors generan también un presupuesto. Y lo que queremos es nada más, no gratis, que nos apoyen un poquito para poder reducir los precios.
They don't want it free, but they want to reduce pricing.
Mayor, if I,
Happy with the classes that are being offered, they just want them at a reduced rate.
Yes, reduced rates.
Well, you know
yes.
what, can we get clarity on that? I want to make sure,
I-
I want to ask, can we ask that question to Ms. Velarde? And I think Ms. Piedra is going to chime in. And I do want to bring some closure to this, but that's a critical question. Could we ask Ms. Velarde that question? That the question, I believe, is, are they happy with the services that are currently being offered? But are we talking about now reducing the rate of the services that are being currently offered?
El alcalde está preguntando que si están felices con las clases y si quieren que le reduzca el precio de las clases.
Sí, correcto. Queremos un apoyo económico para reducir el costo de las clases, porque una de las personas hoy estaban sacando la cuenta, ella dice, si yo tengo que pagar la clase de Tai Chi son 35, si tengo que pagar la Zumba son otros 15. Entonces ahí ya son $40, más $15 de la clase de computación,
Yes.
ahí ya son $55, si no me equivoco.
Yes, they're saying that, like,
40,
the computer
50,
classes
son
for them
casi
is,
$70, 70.
Mes.
Ajá, al
uh-huh,
mes.
they have to pay a fee for every class that they take, so they would like financial support.
Eso es lo que nosotros les dimos hace un mes que venimos, y esto se lo hemos dado a ustedes desde que nosotros venimos por primera vez, elaboramos un plan que era algo sencillo, simple, y nada más queremos ese apoyo, nada más, no que nos den gratis las cosas.
Yeah, they went ahead and gave all the council members their notes saying that they would like a reduced fees for all the classes that they're offered, and all they would like is some financial support.
Go ahead. I wanted to give Marcela the chance to chime in, maybe.
So, yeah, go ahead.
You want to chime in, Ms. Marcela?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Just basically to clarify, and I know we've had multiple meetings, obviously, with the SOS group, and obviously some of you council members, I think probably all of you have been in meetings sitting with the representatives with the SOS group. Basically, what in essence, what Mrs. Velarde is asking for is for us to consider an increase in their budget. And you may recall that as part of, the Measure P, we did include in there the possibility of increasing. Right now, we do have a budget for the adult center, which, yes, it's primarily to cover personnel costs and maintenance of the building, and obviously some monies to support some of the activities that we have. As you know, on a monthly basis, we report to you a lot of the activities that the staff does right now. It's basically done by our personnel. Basic exercise, all those classes are being offered by the adult center coordinator and also the part-time assistants that we have there. So in essence, what they're asking for is for us to consider as a city increasing the budget for the adult center so that we're able to offer other activities there. In terms of going back to the question about IBC, just like we partner, and we've been very, very fortunate, and not just obviously on the recreation side, but other, in the library, is that we do have volunteers. And we always welcome that because it does help us leverage, obviously, the services that we're offering as it relates to IBC. We more than welcome that. I mean, if there's a way that those classes could be provided, for free, and all we have to do is basically give them the space, absolutely, we'll be more than willing to assist. But, just so maybe council understands, is what basically the request is just for consideration that we increase the budget of the adult center. That's in essence what they're asking for.
So let me add to that, because this is, and again, I've talked to the SOS group a number of times, as has the mayor. So I think what they're saying is that they're entitled to receive services from the city. Because we promised that as part of Measure P, and we did include some language on the ballot that talked about, and within the array of services that would be contemplated, there's some language there that we would be providing assistance to seniors. It doesn't spell out what it is, but it does spell out the population. So what the message is, fine, if IBC is able to come in and provide exercise-type courses for free, that takes care of their problem. However, that shouldn't take the city off the hook in terms of finding other ways to provide assistance and provide additional services beyond the exercise courses back to the seniors. So in other words, let's not take that as, somebody else is doing it, so therefore we're done, but not to forget that they're there, and not to forget that there's other things that we could be doing, because now those exercise courses become free.
Or even maybe to piggyback, if they were to participate in all those activities that they laid out, it'd be about $75 a month. So, and again, and I'm also hearing that they don't necessarily want things for free, but they want it subsidized. So,
Although those examples that they're providing to us will be free.
Okay.
Right. And how many computers do we have in the adult center?
In the adult center, we have four computer
Four
stations.
computer
Uh-huh.
stations? Yeah. Because, you know, again, wearing my IBC hat, so we do have the ability to provide basic computer literacy to our community, both in English and Spanish, free of cost, but we need at least 15 computer stations.
Okay, so, you know how we are having our Measure P subcommittees?
Yeah.
Would this not be an item
it is.
that would come
It-
up
it is.
through
It
the
is.
subcommittee, right?
It is.
Yes, it is.
For
It's included.
recommendation?
Right.
Okay, good.
Right.
So do you want to share that with Ms. Velarde, or do you want to, that what we will do with our measure, along with IVC, we can go ahead and who's currently sitting on our Parks and Rec?
It's me and you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So, let me share this. So, is it, are you sure?
Yeah,
I think
so.
it's Councilmember Garcia that's
Yeah,
sitting, yes.
yeah,
uh-huh, it's
Garcia, all
Councilmember
right,
Garcia.
good. So,
No, and the reason why, because we did have our first meeting scheduled last week it was, but I had to cancel that. Something came up at work and I could not attend, so we postponed that meeting. Como le expliqué, Ms. Velarde, sí estamos en proceso de darle, presentar al resto de los colegas en el concilio una lista de prioridades, como le expliqué a usted, y cuando se desarrolle esa lista de prioridades vamos a involucrarlos para que nos ayuden a desarrollar
Sí,
cuáles son las prioridades de la
yo
ciudad.
les agradezco porque sí se requiere una convocatoria para poder nosotros también dar nuestras ideas y que ustedes más o menos, porque nosotros estamos viviendo día con día y sabemos cómo está la situación.
Claro.
Y lo otro es nada más mostrarles aquí los presupuestos para que ustedes vean que para actividades no hay. Hay en el Adult Center, pero nada más para pagar empleados y mantenimiento, es todo. Y esa es la petición que les hicimos desde el principio, porque supongamos que el colegio se retira como se retiró aquí cuando estaba la extensión aquí en la Imperial Avenue. ¿Qué pasaría? Quedaríamos igual o peor que antes. Y yo no lo estoy pensando por mí, sino por las generaciones futuras, ¿sí? Que para que quede establecido.
go ahead, Ms. Norma.
She's just saying that she really appreciates that you're taking this into consideration. All she wants to show is a little bit more support from the council, maybe a higher budget for their classes, their exercise classes, and a little bit of help maybe paying for some of the classes. But she really does appreciate that you're taking the time to hear her out.
Okay, so let me just say this, I do appreciate, you guys are always welcome, and call us, let us know. I do appreciate the advocacy and the passion, and our senior community is something that, it's a growing population, and I know that we will fix this. So thank you so
Porque,
much. Thank you, Ms. Velarde.
Thank you, pero nada más los presupuestos ya van a hacerse, ya se termina el año para el 2018.
Yeah.
Casi ya.
No, estamos, el proceso para desarrollar el presupuesto en donde se va a utilizar los fondos adicionales, eso está en desarrollo todavía, no se ha concluido. So I'm just telling her that we have not decided what we're going to do yet with Measure P money, and that the purpose of those groups is to come up with the priorities to determine where we're going to use the money.
Okay, thank you very much.
Gracias.
Thank you.
Gracias.
Thank you.
Buenas noches. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and move down to informational items 17 and 18. You guys have that on your agenda. No items in regards to successor agency or successor housing agency. We're gonna go ahead and move down and combine our task force reports and mayor council members' reports. Who wants to start? You wanna start?
What's that?
Councilmember task force reports.
Oh, yeah, I'll knock it out real quick.
Yes,
Okay.
sir. Councilmember Jackson.
Attended the Mana dinner I think we all were there. Nice event as usual. Also attended the El Centro Pal Comedy Show fundraiser.
That was funny.
Also, on behalf of City of El Centro and LAFCO, I attended the Cal LAFCO conference in Santa Barbara, which there's a lot of things changing on the horizon for LAFCOs and the way they do business, which is kind of standard for California. Things are changing all the time. And attended the McGee Park Playground Improvement groundbreaking with the mayor, and also took part and was certified as a FEMA Crisis Communications trainer, or not trainer, I guess I went to the training. But it was it's a 16-hour course, so I guess if we have a major disaster, I can run the show or something. I don't know.
So we can call you Mr. Disaster?
I guess. Well, they already call me that, but no, it was a good training. Went with Liz and Anna. It was 2 days. Instructors came from Texas Tech University, and actually, I think there's some conversations about El Centro maybe hosting some further training, because the training is actually provided free through federal monies, and so if we were to come together and host one, people from wherever could come. And there was people from Arizona, California, Nevada that came to the NAF for that training. So every agencies from different cities, counties, police and fire agencies, FBI was there. So it was really good, and we did some interesting group sessions, press conference, mock press conferences, how to, how not to. So it was good. I learned a lot, and was happy to take the opportunity to attend that. So if the opportunity is there, I would recommend to my colleagues to try to attend. It is 2 days. It's 8 hours both days, but you learn a lot about it.
Good. All right, thank you, Councilmember Jackson. Councilmember Silva?
I attended the league dinner in Calexico. I did not go to the MANA dinner because that same day we had the Dia de los Muertos folklorico group at Southwest High School, and I think if you saw the video that was produced by Spectrum, it was quite a spectacular event. We're still having some difficulties in terms of attendance, and I'm not sure. We do a lot of publicity through Facebook, through radio, and other media, and I still get the comments at the end like, you need to advertise more because we didn't know, and we just found out about it. So I'm not sure what the answer to that is, but the show itself was spectacular. And then the following Friday, we had the concluding event for Dia de los Muertos at the old Post Office Pavilion. Ms. Walker and I attended the Estes Hospital Conference in San Francisco. It was a really good conference, and very beneficial for the hospital. And we had our initial planning meeting just before the meeting, the mayor, the incoming mayor, and I, to begin to discuss that public summit idea in hosting Arizona, 2 states in Mexico and Mexicali, and some joint public safety discussions. We have tentatively penciled in January 12th, although based on the discussion today, that may change. So we'll keep you guys informed.
There, I forgot one thing.
Yeah, go right ahead.
If I may, El Centro Patriotic Planning Committee has met several times, and wanted to announce this Saturday we have the Veterans Day celebration. There's going to be a Veterans Walk that will start promptly at 8 a.m. at the American Legion. We'll walk down Broadway and down 8th Street to the memorial. The walk should take approximately 35 to 45 minutes. At that time, a ceremony will take place starting about 9 a.m. We have a couple of speakers. I've asked the chief as a former or as a veteran to be one of our keynotes, and he's agreed to that, as well as Tom Henderson, member of VFW and a Vietnam vet. He'll be speaking. VFW will provide the 21-gun salute at 10 a.m., and the entire program should conclude right around 10:15 to 10:20. After the event, the American Legion will be serving a lunch free of charge to all veterans, and there'll be a nominal charge for non-veterans or family members of the veterans. So hopefully anybody can attend. If you want to come out and get a little exercise, come join us for the walk, and then and stay afterwards for the ceremony.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, I forgot we needed to. Mayor Pro Tem?
So this part of the meeting, I think, is really helpful for us, but one of the things that the mayor and I talked to the city clerk about during her evaluation process is, would we all be okay with, in the minutes, it's just abbreviated and said something like, city council members reported on activities since the last council meeting? Because the preparation of this part of the minutes takes a really, really, really long time. And
Especially your
so-
section.
Well, I know. Well, and what, I mean, I used to do minutes for a lot of different organizations, and it's just very, very time consuming. And I think that there's no legal requirement for us to say anything other than we reported out on our activities, and that would save, I think, Diane, probably about 8 hours a month with your office that could be put to better use. So if you guys are okay with that, I think
with
it's
it.
important for us to continue to report out, but we'll just abbreviate the minute part of it, okay? All right. Okay, so then it's my turn. All righty.
So you don't have to write any of this
So
down.
here we go. Here we go. Okay, so actually, that was the first thing. The mayor and I did meet with the city clerk on the 20th of October to go over her evaluation. Attended the MANA Awards event, which was really, really fun, and I love the picture of us
Yeah.
all together. That was great. Then we had the opportunity to meet with the city attorney for that evaluation process on Monday, the 23rd. On the 24th, I met with Dawn Gorham, who's involved with a group that's coming down from San Diego to provide wraparound services. They're going to be opening up 2 group homes. One of them will be in El Centro, the other in Imperial. And they're going to have an office on Adams that will essentially provide wraparound service for folks that are suffering from different types of addiction and other things. At noon on the then I attended the hospital meeting with Mr. Silva, and we did get the REACH contract signed with the
Great work.
hospital, so whoo, we're happy with that. On the 25th, I attended the Imperial County Air Pollution Control District meeting, and there we handed out a bunch of money for all types of, under Rule 300, is it Rule 300?
310?
310. We were able to give away a lot of money for retrofitting of, purchase of new types of equipment for greenhouse gas reductions. That night was also, the 25th was also the Imperial County Transportation Commission meeting, and I reported out on calls for service at the new transfer terminal. And both those that are initiated by our department and those that are in response. And I got through with that, and the ICTC folks got up and just thanked the city every way to Sunday for having that security officer there. They said they finally see people out there, like actually using the transfer terminal, having lunch, being comfortable. They just went on for probably about 7-8 minutes about what an improvement having the security guard there. And one of the guys was saying that he goes by every day just to check on progress, and very, very appreciative of course, the partnership with the police department. And I said, well, as long as you continue to fund our officer there, the security guy there, we're going to be really happy to have him there. Next night was the League of California Cities dinner, and then the San Francisco Estes Park. Followed that up with 2 days with SCAG meetings. And then on Friday the 3rd was when I was at this Los Angeles Business Council meeting and came home with a whole bunch of homelessness strategies that I'm going to be sharing at a later date. And we did have our task force meeting with the IT ADA at 3 o'clock today, and I think we're going to come forward with some really great recommendations out of that. It was really funny, so we get all these people together, and we're talking about needing to do an ADA assessment, and we figure out that there's money's available from JPIA to update our existing plan from 2000 as opposed to having to spend, Frank, what was the number you gave us, like 180 or $200,000 if we had to start from scratch?
Start from scratch, approximately $200,000.
Yeah. So Abraham was able to save the city and Terry and big dollars. So we're really happy that we're moving that forward. Are we doing the MOU with
Yeah, 17th.
council on the 17th? Okay, so that's upcoming. So those are my activities, and I bet you're really happy you don't have to like list all of those
Yeah.
individually. Okay.
All right, Councilmember Garcia?
I just want to make an announcement for the task force reports for the Imperial County Film Commission. They're going to be hosting the premiere of Star Wars: The Last Jedi on Thursday, December 14th at the Cinemark Theaters. They're going to have refreshments and raffles for the children. Their tickets are available online through the Film Commission's website, and it should be fun. Hopefully, we'll see you guys there.
We get a discount if we come in costume?
I don't believe so, but they will have a costume contest.
Ooh.
As far as the activities, I attended the Mana Gala with the council. I attended the El Centro Pal comedy show. That was a very funny show. Then the Paladin Palette at the Episcopal
Oh,
Church.
right. Yeah,
That was a very nice, well-attended event as
It
well.
was the same night as League of Cities. We were all down in Calexico.
Then we had the privilege of watching the Central Spartans during the Bell game.
Yeah.
Finally bring
they got
home the
it back,
bell
huh?
after
Yeah.
8 years. Got to watch it on the sidelines with the mayor. Almost got hit by some big football players.
We rushed the
There's
field.
Some big boys, but that was a pleasure to watch, and I understand
Gonna
that
have the kids come?
Yeah.
that they finally handed over the bell now. So that was a good event, but I did miss that. So that's pretty much it.
You know what we have
Well-
to have them do, though? They have the band, they don't call it Battle of the Bands, but they have all the bands do it.
Tonight.
And
That's
it's
tonight.
always
council
the
night.
first Tuesday of November. So we have to see if they'll move it to the second Tuesday so we can finally attend. After all these years, I've never been able to go.
And I'll do an announcement on behalf of Mr. Garcia, but Mr. Garcia is going to be getting his dancing shoes ready for our Dancing with the Stars gala, the ROP Dancing with the Stars gala, which is right now tentatively scheduled for May 4th
So
of
that'll
next
only
year.
leave our mayor
Oh, my
up
God,
here.
no. I only
who
dance in the
hasn't done it
shower.
yet. Okay, my eyes
All
are
right.
burning.
Well, thank you for that. Just real quick, McGee Park, we did host Councilmember Garcia joined me in hosting a luncheon for our IVC athletes. I mean, these athletes that come from all over the place, they have no family, so we did a nice little welcome from them at Desert Trail. So I do appreciate Councilmember Garcia for participating in that. Bell game was huge. We were able to watch it on the sideline. So I want to bet with Mayor Couchman. So he has to wear the Central Union Bell shirt at the next Brawley City Council meeting.
Oh.
So he has to sit in, or at his next Brawley City Council meeting, he has to wear the Brawley Bell shirt. So he's, we were sweating bullets on the sideline. I thought I'd be wearing a shirt today, but he's gonna have to live up to that bet. Then also went to the Bell presentation. I've never gone and seen how they deliver the Bell. I don't know if.
Because it probably in
Yeah.
your lifetime.
It's been a long time.
Yeah,
It's
it
been a
was
while.
neat, and Central was very gracious. They didn't
Yeah.
spit and cuss at them or do any of that stuff, but it was really neat to be part of that. And then I also just really want to highlight our Measure P workshop because I think we're doing a better job, and so we're off to the races. We had a great meeting when it came to Public Works, and one of the things I just really briefly want to share, and this is a finance philosophy that came from Leticia, is when she looks at her budget, she prioritizes them using three major points: safety, legal, customer service. So when we're going down our priority list, we looked at it from that context and said, okay, this is a safety issue, a legal issue, or a customer service issue. So that really helped us prioritize. And then here I'm hearing, Mr. Campos obviously is a rock star here, but and then we're able to vet out which projects are grant funded. And so we can even go through ICTC, LTA, whatever. So we kind of looked at those projects and said, okay, those projects have these opportunities. So that really narrowed down our scope. And then the other thing that Abraham and Mr. Hagan and our group, they looked at giving priority to projects that will be shovel-ready.
Yes.
So once we look at some of the capital projects, get them to be shovel-ready, and then once they're shovel-ready, they can pursue other grant opportunities. So that's how we're prioritizing our list, and we're moving along so well that we've already set our second date for our meeting.
Oh, good.
So
Okay.
hopefully we'll have some recommendations. And so thanks to staff and everyone. And then just to piggyback a little bit on Councilmember Jackson, he did help pioneer this veteran situation. And so I think it's great, and we're providing a lunch. I think we have
You're gonna
most
get
of
the
us.
aprons, right?
Yeah, we're gonna get the City of El Centro aprons, and we're gonna serve them their food at least for the first hour. And so I am asking for a $70 donation from each council member. We'll be there from 11 to 12. We'll be wearing our aprons. You can just make those checks actually to the foundation, the El Centro City Foundation, so we can get a write-off for that. And then we'll host and pay for that lunch in addition to El Centro Kiwanis. So we'll hopefully feed about 100 folks. With that being said, guys,
Well, maybe we'll see you Thursday at the
yeah,
reorg.
yeah, Thursday. Huh? Oh, yeah, we got to adjourn to closed session.
Yes, I need a motion and a
And
second.
that's it. So I guess at this point in time, oh, you know what? I also want to share, Terry, thank you for sharing that the fact that our healthcare is not going up. I think that's
Oh,
really,
yeah.
really important.
Yeah.
I do appreciate that memo. So I don't know if you get any thank yous when you send these out. I need to send you a thank you, though. But thank you.
awesome.
So at this point in time, we are going to adjourn to closed session. So I would entertain a motion to adjourn. I have a
So
motion
moved.
from Jackson,
Second.
second from Silva. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, and I think we'll just meet here and just turn the mics off.
It is freezing,
Here?
absolutely.
We can turn down the, you want us to turn off the AC?
You guys want to just meet here real quick?
Oh, yeah.